the order of the agenda may change somewhat. Unfortunately, it will not affect parcel 42 because you're down on the agenda a little bit further. Corrections to the agenda. Right after the police report, please add Board of Elections is going to make a statement. And in the consensus vote, number 12, please add Texas Brazil, Facile, Kinship, and Silo.
What was the second one?
Texas Brazil, Facile, F-A-S-I-L, Kinship, and Silo. There's no contesting on those addresses.
Okay, so there's 4 of them that you're adding.
Right. Plus the ones that are listed
Yeah,
there on
right, okay.
Also, I don't know how I did it, but again, I did it. We did not approve March and April's minutes. So when we get to the approval of the minutes, we will be doing for both March, April, and today.
Well, not today, but March and April. Today's will be done at the
Next
June
time.
meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. I'm telling you, I'm swamped here. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. As far as attendance, Antonio? We have with Kevin, we have a form, so.
6001?
6001, 2, 3, 4,
Here.
5,
Here.
6, here,
Kevin's here.
And Kevin is here.
7.
Okay.
Kevin's here.
Yeah.
Oh, so I motion to that we approve the agenda as amended by Marge. All right, Marge, I move that we approve the agenda as amended by you.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Men in Blue, do we have our police representatives here? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll do that first. We need to approve minutes for April and March.
So I move that ANC 60 approve the minutes for March and April of 2016 with any corrections as noted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. So it's 4-0-0-10.
Okay,
Okay. Do we have any men in blue, our police representatives? The commanders.
I think unfortunately by default it's me.
Ah, welcome, welcome.
I had 2 calendar appointments, and once at 6, once at 6:30, and Lieutenant Pierce apparently had the 6:30, so that's where she's running behind. Good evening, firstly. For those who aren't familiar with me, I'm Commander Emmerman of the 3rd District. I'm your 3D commander. Mohammed, sir. I've got for you, because I'm ill prepared, knowing that Lieutenant Pierce was going to handle. I do have some crime stats. I can tell you that we are looking good in 308. If every PSA was like 308, I'd be a happy commander. We are currently 30-day this year versus 30 days the previous month. We are showing a 75% reduction in violent crime, a 19% reduction in our property crime, and an overall reduction of 25%. That's every category. You are the only PSA that has a negative all across the board. Moving on, 30 previous days to 30 the year before. We're maintaining a 67% reduction in our violent crime. Our property crime looks up about 12%, but overall we have around a 3%, which is a 1 crime difference. And then our calendar year to date, we are showing 2016 versus 2015 with a 12% reduction in violent, a 4% reduction in property, and a 5% reduction overall. Makes it feel good. I have a PSA that has a 69% increase in crime. So you guys are working overall with a 5% reduction. So again, my hat's off to you guys for making us aware of what's going on, calling us when we need to be there, and giving us the information that we need to close our cases that we're doing this. Aside from just crime stats, Is there any other issues or concerns that need to be brought to our attention? You always have an issue. or concern.
I know,
You go
I know,
last.
I guess, not.
You're gonna go last.
It's all about my 5D tonight, not.
That's right. If anybody's got the 3D side, my tiny little sliver of 3D, that is ANC 6E.
I think we're,
No, no, not you. Good.
Are you announce the bike watch at PSA 308?
That is on the 14th, correct? Okay. I have, because each of my PSAs is doing a bike ride. So on May 14th, we are doing a PSA community bike ride in 308 in conjunction with some folks from WABA that are going to be helping us out. And I would be lying if I told you I knew exactly what time and where it starts. So I'm going to ask
Martin?
Martin for a little
I'm
assistance here.
waiting for Lieutenant Pierce.
She's on her way. If we can bump her back into the meeting when she gets here, she will brag about it. But I apologize. I have 8 community bike rides, and I don't remember which time this one is.
Okay, we'll get it out there on Twitter and all the social media, too,
Yes.
so as soon as we get that.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. I'll stick around for a little
Are
bit.
you,
Thank you.
are you?
So this, let me introduce everyone. This
Hello.
is Lieutenant Verna.
I'm from 5D.
He's from 5, he is brand new.
Brand new.
So, as for those people who know Verna, V-E-R-N-A. So he's our new lieutenant for 5D. I represent 2 very active blocks for 5D, that's an understatement.
Yes.
And so we have our concerns, so we're gonna kind of just bring some stuff up. There was a, someone who was held up by a gun last week in front of Dunborough High School,
Across from my house.
about across from David's house at about 9 o'clock, is that about right?
Yeah.
Do you have an update? Because that's all my people, where's the update?
Right now it's still open. I know, let me see if I can.
Did they get that camera? There's a camera right outside in the front of many in front of them.
Yeah, 5D detectives are working on that. Last information I heard, they're just still working on it. I don't have any real update on it yet, but I will get you some information.
Okay.
Can you post, like, I know there's like listservs, like the neighborhood website. I don't know if they can post updates there.
Yeah, we can get you an update.
Next door, I think that's what it's called.
So it was actually one of my constituents who was held up from the 3D side. So I found out. And then also just to let the lieutenant know, because you're new, you're brand new, we have a continuous problem with people, I call them the poopers, that always are by Kirby Street, by the alley, on the 200 block of New York Avenue. And they hang out there and basically they defecate and pee all day long, and that is not an understatement.
And there's been a continued problem of students having sex in the alley.
And the sex in the alley. So come to this part of 5D if you want some action, to say the least. So we have asked and asked and asked for presence in these 2 blocks with Commander Fitzgerald over and over again. I get it. It's 2 blocks. I get it. I understand it's very small, but it is a lot of action in those 2 blocks.
All right, so Kirby Street and 200 block of
Kirby,
New York Ave.
the
And-
alley
and
that runs
Morgan.
behind the shops. They lay out on the church steps. I mean, in that alley, it is drug trade, pooping, everything, sex, so.
Okay.
We just need continual presence. Now, my constituent that lives right next door to the alley, he has a video camera, and we have sent videos over and over again.
And it's the same people too.
The
Okay,
same
since the officer is rather new, and these are all old things, maybe you can offline send him an email and update him on some of this stuff. I'm sorry, Michelle, we are just packed
That's fine,
tonight.
that's all of our topics. There you go.
Thank you.
I'll work on
Thank
5D.
you.
1D,
Fantastic.
1D,
Thanks for coming.
hello.
Hi. Sergeant Martello, First District, how y'all doing?
Great.
Stats here.
Transfer.
So, let's see. 30 days stats, we are. We're up in robberies, 4 to 5. We're down ADWs, 5 to 2. I don't see the homicide here. We had, yeah, I'm showing 2 on here. I know we had the 1 behind 1200, right? Y'all know the details on that? Okay. The story I got on that one was, it was sort of a a road rage incident. It was a bicyclist and a motorist pulling into the alley. Either hit or almost hit the bicyclist. They got out. They got into a physical altercation. And the bicyclist pulled out a knife and cut the other guy, and he wound up passing away on the scene there. That was after we checked out, so it was on the midnight tour. But that's the story with that one. That would happen Friday, last week. I know it was last week. Yeah, it was Friday. Yeah, so that's the biggie from the 1D side from the search report. So I know the stats are kind of dry. Does anybody have any specific concerns, or most of y'all 3D, 5D? I don't know if we have anybody here.
It's just.
All right, did y'all have any concerns or anything
Well,
specific?
I talked to the commander about having presence within the search and corridor.
And you know we're working with them, with the security people over there.
Right.
We're trying to get all that.
We're doing the camera and stuff.
Right, yeah, we got the cameras, and then there's a few other things going on there, so we've been in contact with Bartlett and this guy OG, and all the guys, we're trying to get all that worked out too, as far as that goes. So,
Okay.
anybody else have any concerns about source report, specifically 1D?
You?
That was easy.
This was an easy one.
Yeah, this is.
Thank you so
I'll
very
take it, thank
much.
you.
Board of Elections.
Where do you?
You can stand right there.
Right here, okay?
Yeah.
I'll stand in the,
Don't even block the camera, don't block the camera.
off the cameras, okay?
Don't block the
block
camera.
the
You can
camera.
stand right in front here.
Okay.
Stand right in the middle.
Yeah, there you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gavin Weiss. I'm from the DC Board of Elections. I'm here with my colleague Jeanette and also Lexima, who is in the hall. I understand you've got a very packed agenda, so we'll try to give you the very brief version of our usually pretty brief presentation. We've been going around to different ANC meetings and meeting with different organizations to just brief people very quickly on some of the important dates and some of the important changes this election cycle. As you know, we have the primary election coming up on June 14th, and that's the before the general as well. Just a couple of dates that I'll go over first. So jot down, the last day to change your party affiliation is May 16th. DC is not an open primary, so you do have to have a party affiliation to vote in that party's primary. It's also the last day that your registration your registration applications would need to be postmarked if you sent them by mail. On May 23rd is the last day the Board of Elections will accept any mailed applications that are not postmarked through FedEx or what have you. And on the 27th is the last day you can either register or change your registration stuff in person or online or through the motor vehicles offices. Early voting will this year will be on May 31 to June 11 at Judiciary Square. That's the earliest that early voting starts. And on June 4 to June 11, it will be the ward-based early voting. And we have, I don't remember how many, but maybe about 10 different centers in the city. You don't need to go to the early voting center in your ward. You can go anywhere in the city. In Ward 6, it's King Greenleaf Recreation Center and Sherwood Recreation Center, or Recreational Center. And as I said, you can also go to any of the other locations in the city. Absentee ballot requests, June 7 is the deadline to request them by mail. And a change this year also, on election day, your absentee ballot needs to arrive by 8 p.m. on election day. It used to be, I think people had something like up to 10 days after elections, and that caused the process to drag out a little bit. So now they're changing, they want everything in the office by 8 p.m. at the Board of Elections. Precinct changes, there aren't any, I think, that affect this particular ANC. Van Ness has now moved to Arthur Capper Community Center, but I don't believe that affects anyone in voting precinct 131. And Thankful Baptist Church has moved to Eastern Market. So, second thing I'll talk about quickly is the changes. These are rather important. There's no out-of-precinct voting for convenience. It used to be, and I didn't realize this, but you could actually go vote in any precinct you wanted, where you happen to be on election day by casting this provisional ballot. However, you now are being asked to go to your assigned precinct. Also, if you want to change, if you need to update your voting information, you need to do that online or through any of the other methods, through paper, through mail, before Election Day. If you need to do an address change on Election Day, you actually need to go to your original precinct, which is the precinct that you're actually registered at. I'm not sure if that makes total sense, as I tried to explain it several times before, but you need to actually go back to the original precinct, cast a regular ballot, and fill out a change of address form there. Another change that will result in more regular ballots will be same-day registration will cast a regular ballot and no longer be this provisional ballots that need to be counted afterwards. Absentee ballots, as I said, need to be in by Election Day. I think that's about it. The last thing I'll mention is that normally the second part of the presentation is some equipment, but obviously with this room we had to put the equipment out in the hall. So I think what we'll do is we'll just stick around for maybe another 45 minutes or so, and if people are coming and going and they want to look at some of the voting equipment that will be featured this year, you're more than welcome to do so. The big change is that everyone will get a paper ballot. However, the one form of paper ballot is just a blank piece of paper, which goes into the machine. You insert it into what we call a ballot marking device. And that will be a touch screen similar to like the old touch screens, except it won't record your vote inside the machine there. What it will actually do is print on that ballot all your selections that you make on the touch screen. And it will return that ballot to you, and then you will insert that ballot into the ballot box where the normal paper ballots are sent. And you also, of course, have the option to vote paper, as always. So we'll stick around for at least 45 minutes or so, I think. Jeanette?
I just wanted to add that if anyone does need to update their address or their party affiliation, we do have the forms here this evening out in the hall, so we're happy to take care of that for you today.
I have a couple of questions. I don't know how you picked this Ward 6 location, but you picked someplace that has no parking, no metro service. I don't even know if there's a bus that goes to Sherwood. So I think it's kind of it's a difficult choice for people if if they want to go over to the Ward 6 site. It's really not a convenient site as far as I can see. It's at least 10 blocks from Easton Market.
I can definitely relay your concerns back to the Board of Elections in terms of, I think that may have been the sites that they've used every year. So I haven't had that complaint in other meetings, so I'm not sure, but I will definitely mention that you raised the issue.
I'm absolutely sure that our elderly folks are not going to find their way over to Sherwood in order to do early voting based on its location.
We'll relay that.
I mean, that's just a comment. It's not a criticism, it's a comment. And it was, under the Board of Elections, it did not say Judiciary Square was going to be available as an early site at all. It just listed the 10 of the 8 ward sites.
You mean on the website?
Yeah, so I mean, if Judiciary Square is a site, that needs to be gotten, that information has to get out to people, because that's I think a lot more convenient for some folk.
Yeah, and actually that's the one that's open the longest as well. It opens earlier. So if it's not, we'll definitely check that as well.
And my last comment is, I thought we were trying to go paperless. So for you to put paper into a digital machine to print out a paper, why not just give everybody a paper ballot?
The machines the original machines were designed for assisting voters, and they are used in some precincts solely for assisting voters with various disabilities, whether it's vision, hearing, etc. It's equipped with a touchpad, braille touchpad, and also the audio service. And I think the DC Board of Elections decided if they're going to invest in these machines, that they're also allowing all voters to use these machines, even those voters without disabilities as well. So we have the paper ballot, and we have this other machine, which again is this electronic touch screen. The only difference is, and maybe I sort of maybe misleading, the only difference is you will have to insert a blank piece of paper into the machine, and then it will return.
So it's actually a paper ballot?
It is a paper ballot, because when you insert it into the voting urn, or the collected ballots, we'll have a record of all the ballots, whether they are through the traditional handwritten paper ballot or through the ballot marking device.
take 2 steps backwards.
Back to the future.
Yeah.
And again, I'd just like to mention that for early voting, you can go to any polling place for early voting. As Gavin said, it begins a week early, begins on the 31st of May at Judiciary Square, and then the following week it begins in the wards.
And I think I also mentioned about Sunday, I mentioned that it will be open on there's a Sunday that falls in between there. Early voting will be open that Sunday as well.
At all
At all the locations, Jeanette?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, sure.
Quick, someone told me that the 100-word candidate bios weren't included in the voter guide. Are those gonna be in the app that you guys have, mobile app?
Say that again, what's that?
I don't have the answer to that right now. I haven't, it's definitely not in the voter guide. Okay. I don't know, I can try to find out the answer to it, and I can just communicate it maybe to the ANC.
Okay, because that's a huge disadvantage to people who don't have their own websites or whatever, because no one can find out about their candidates.
So the issue is just that the underwear bios are not in the paper voter
Yep.
guide that came out a couple days ago,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Sir.
Will it still be a provisional ballot for other people who are not on the list, or have you gotten rid of them?
The provisionals are still there. There will, there's a couple different instances where you might have to cast a provisional ballot. You could be charged, someone could challenge your eligibility with one of the political party representatives or other things. So provisional ballots are still there. They're just, the changes I mentioned are just in certain circumstances, the Board of Elections moving away from using the provisional ballots so that voters can cast regular ballots, such as the same-day registration. That used to be provisional ballots, but now it's going to be regular ballots. So they are still there. And they will, they are still there at each precinct on election day, and they will still be used for various situations.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
I'll have your contacts, obviously.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Lieutenant Pierce? Come on down.
Hi, how's everybody today?
Good.
I heard Moulton ask me questions again. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Specific questions about the PSA 308 bike ride?
Yes.
Okay, it's gonna start, we're gonna have it on May 14th. It's gonna start at 11 o'clock at Kennedy Rec Center. Wobble is gonna do a safety class for us for 30 minutes. Is that you?
The help of one of our staff.
What about you?
I'll be happy to help.
Moulton and his staff will be helping us to go over safety tips like helmets, bicycle laws, rules and regulations. And then we're gonna take everybody at about 1.5 miles on a bike ride. So for kids and adults that, got some questions about rules and safety, go see all the local hot spots. Enjoy the PSA 308. Any other questions? 11 o'clock on Saturday, May 14th.
That's what we were waiting for, because we knew you had the wealth of information.
Moulton had all the information, he just doesn't share.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mayor's office? Kevin Donahoe. Yes?
Thank you. Yep, Captain Donahue, and with me is Matt Brown. Hello, my name's Kevin Donahue. Can I just start now?
If you
Okay.
would kind of hang out close to
Okay.
me,
Okay.
because then you're on camera.
Oh, fantastic. My name's Kevin Donahue. I'm the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice for Washington, D.C. With me.
I'm Matt Brown, I'm the Budget Director for the Mayor.
And I want to, first of all, thank the ANC Commissioners and thank you for giving us a few minutes here. We're here to talk about the budget, in particular the FY17 budget that the Mayor submitted to Council that's now being debated. We try to use every opportunity we can to highlight awareness around the budget, whether it's before we submit it, during the Council debate about it, which is happening now, or between the budget cycles. And for me, I've been many times to this room. My two children went to school at Walker Jones Elementary School for 4 years, and we had a wonderful experience here using the library and the rec center. And I wanted to be able to just come back here and talk about the context of the budget, and then for my area in public safety, some aspects around public safety. and then open up for questions. And we will also be here for some time after we talk if any of you want to grab us. So there's 2 documents in yellow folders over there that I encourage you to get at some point before you leave tonight. One has bubbles on it, and this is actually that shows you, it sort of represents how the city gets its money and revenue sources, and then by broad category, how it spends the money. And so what you'll see on sources, you'll see most of it comes from locally generated taxes and fees, followed by federal grants, followed by other sources. In terms of uses, and this is broadly how the city spends money from year to year, you see at the top, out of about a $13 billion budget, $4.6 billion goes to human support services, the largest chunk of which is Medicaid and health services, followed by public education at $2.4 billion, followed by enterprise funds, which Matt, I believe, is our capital.
It's actually DC Water, University of the District of Columbia.
Okay.
Entities that have to get congressional authority to spend money, like the District of Columbia used to have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then public safety at about 10%, or $1.3 billion. And then you see the other categories going down. Within this, there are debates around different policy choices, both between policy categories and within it, about how to spend to best have a budget that reflects the outcomes, and from the mayor's standpoint, the outcomes that you expect from her and you expect from your city. In terms of public safety, and we're available to answer any questions in any area, but I want to talk a bit about public safety. There's a few things that we're doing around public safety. At one level, public safety is about making sure our police, our fire, our emergency medical services are properly staffed and trained and equipped to be able to keep cities safe and respond to residents when they call. But one of the things that I learned in the course of looking at our budget is that for about 10 years, arguably some say more than 10 years, despite increasing population, the city put the exact same number of ambulances on the street every year, even though our calls for service for ambulances went up by about 50%. The number of police officers that we have are at what is a decades-long low, and the number of call takers on 911 has essentially had remained steady for about 8 straight years. So one area that we looked at is we just want to have better responsiveness when citizens call. So in our Office of Unified Communications, which is our 911 call center, we're adding 32 positions, most of which will be call takers or dispatchers. Dispatchers will send the apparatus out. Usually those are really sending out ambulances, which are some of the bulk of our calls. For our police department, we have invested in our police academy to try to allow for the police academy to be able to train more people each year. And for our fire EMS department, we invested in trying to get new ambulances on the street, partially through buying more ambulances for use by city employees, partially by having a contract to be able to supplement what we have by about 20 ambulances every day. Once we did that, we turned our attention to how do we keep our city safe. And so we invested in a number of areas. A body-worn camera program, so we have every officer with a body-worn camera, and a program to support transparency around it. Investing in a crime lab, and so the crime lab is something that, there's a beautiful building about 8 blocks from here that houses the lab that tests evidence in crimes that's used by both prosecutors and defense attorneys. And it just wasn't properly staffed. So we're adding staffing to be able to have folks test evidence to be used by both attorneys in cases. And then we also wanted to take a more holistic approach of looking at what it means to keep cities safe. So when we had budget discussions about public safety, we would involve all the other deputy mayors in government, education, human services, economic development. And we tried to identify what do we know, what does research show, where there are connections between programs that aren't traditionally police or fire, but have a profound impact on safety. And so with that, we have enhanced funding for truancy programs to try to bring down our truancy rates, both in elementary, middle, and high school. We've invested in a summer youth employment program to make sure that continues at the level it has been for a number of years. We have invested in what we call Career Connections, which is an employment program that provides young adults between 20 and 24 the chance to essentially get job training, life skills training, or if they're job ready, subsidized employment with private companies, that they have a chance to prove themselves. And we target that for individuals who are involved in the justice system, to be able to give them job training and a job opportunity. And finally, we invested in a response program in which we place social workers and mental health workers in emergency rooms, and we're starting with MedStar about a month ago, which is the Washington Hospital Center. So when someone comes in with a puncture wound, a gunshot, or a stab wound, there are the medical professionals, as there always have been, to treat the wound, but we have an advocate who can connect them to mental health services, legal services, and the vast array of services that are available to them by the local government, but they may not always be aware of. So I wanted to, in the short amount of time that I generously given, be able to show some of the things that we're doing to try to be able to have a budget and have programs that reflect your expectations of us in terms of public safety or not. And I'll sort of close by saying, over this week, the City Council is debating and marking up the mayor's budget. It won't get voted on for a few months. We'd encourage you and everyone here to, if you have questions, talk to us now or off to the side. I will leave a business card and my contact information so you can reach either of us if you have questions, but please stay involved. I can't understate the extent to which hearing from residents helps us make better decisions for budgets that reflect what your views are. So thank you for the time. If we have a few minutes for questions.
I have a couple of questions. I don't
Sure.
know if anybody else wants to. Okay. First question. MedStar is a private organization?
It's a private organization that runs the Washington Hospital Center, which is the city's largest trauma center that gets most of, if not, I think probably most of the shooting and stab victims that happen in the city.
Okay, but the city is providing employees?
The city funds nonprofits. So the origin of the program is actually we have for many years had a well-regarded program